unexplainable. Never need a match. It's unexplainable. It's unconditional. It's unforgettable. Unstoppable. So intentional. It's so invitable. Indescribable.
Hello, and welcome to his
and her perspective.
Yeah. And here at his and her perspective, what do we do, Vaun?
Here at his and her perspective, we find common ground to harmonize relationships.
That's exactly what we do, y'all. Hey, listen, this is gonna be a good show. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you, sis?
I am doing very well. Hello, how are you all doing out there? Let us know who you are and where you're tapping in from. We'd love to know that so that we can say hi. Your mama always told you when you walk into a room, say hello. Okay, so listen, today we're going to talk about, is marriage even necessary? We're going to talk about this thing, man. This is going to be good. I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. Who we got over here?
Me too. Okay, go ahead. My fault.
Go ahead.
No, you got it.
Okay. We got Yarly over in Brunswick at the job, the JOB Bakery / Hey, Desi.
My lovely better half, my lovely other half, whichever you want to call it.
Yes, D. Jackson, the brother in the house. Peace, love, and light. Yes.
Good, bruh.
Kimberly Polk, how you doing? Got some newcomers here. Hey, Kim.
What up, cuzzo? It's family.
Hey, Robbie Benita Chester from New Jersey. Yes. Hello. Oh, she's by way of New Jersey. Brainsville, Pennsylvania. Is that what that is?
All right.
Oh, yeah, all right. I love it. We got some more people on here hiding, but that's okay. Don't hide that long. Come and tell us who you are and step in and let us know. So today we're going to have a really good conversation about, is marriage even necessary? She said, yes, that's how you pronounce it. Thank you so much, Robbie. Appreciate that.
That's what happened when you go to college. You can pronounce big words like that.
I skipped through it a little bit. I got a couple of degrees. I think I got them because I was cute. No, I'm just kidding. Really? Did you just do that?
No,
You was like, well.
No, well, it wasn't that. It was the. I was overwhelmed by your modesty.
Yeah, you know. Hey, James, how you doing? You're in Queens, watching with your sister. Thank you so much. Be safe on the plane on your way home. Marriage is still necessary, I guess, for women. Listen, Yarly. Listen.
All right.
He done kicked it off. Let's talk about this because this is considered by some the most prestigious way to live. What do you think about that statement?
I think that, I don't know that a more beneficial arrangement exists for human beings than marriage. Now, that gets complicated because of the way we do things here in the West, right?
Right.
And it becomes about more than just what I think it was originally designed to do. But it's supposed to be a merger, right? She's bringing what she brings, he brings what he brings. Typically, it's families merging together or joining together. The root word of marriage is merge.
Right.
So it is literally a merger. Yeah. And but the benefits that come with it are something that I guess we could expound on. We could wax a little bit more poetic on as we get into the show. But I think, listen, let me say this. I would not purposely bring a child into a situation where I was not married.
Expound on that for the folk.
See, there's too many. It's harder to break up when you're married.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we know that the legal stuff gets in the way, a lot of red tape, and it gives you time to cool off, maybe even reconsider things. But when you just go together, you can be out.
Yeah.
Right? Even with a child involved, because there's no legal red tape.
Right.
But the marriage kind of solidifies it, I think, a little bit more, and it's a little harder to get out of. And I think that benefits the child more than anybody, because the child needs two parents in the household.
Yeah.
And they survive without it. Yeah, but we're not here just to survive. We're here to thrive.
Absolutely.
A child cannot thrive without both parents being present.
I completely agree. Let's get those hearts up. Let's pause for a brief heart moment.
Yeah.
Get those hearts up, get those hearts up, get the likes up. Make sure that you are following all of our social media pages on all social media platforms at Vaun-The Love Alchemist, ATR, All Things Relevant, as well as Coach Michelamonè. Make sure that you're following all of those pages and heart us. Come on now. If you're looking at us right now, even if you haven't figured out that you love us yet, just like us for a moment. Stay with us, and I'm sure that you will love us. So Yarley says it's not necessary for men, beneficial for women because they are born with inherent value.
What does that mean, Yarley? Beneficial for women because they are born with inherent value.
Please explain that, because I like the fact that he just put value there, because Yarley's, Yarley be a little tough on us sometimes.
Yeah.
Robbie says, well, I understand what you mean, which I'm not sure which part she was referring to. But listen, they talk about less than 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. say that marriage is essential in having a fulfilling life. And 54% of people in the U.S. say that marriage is necessary. So we have the majority of people still saying that marriage is necessary. But I think that the real question would then be is, what is marriage? What will society lose by making marriage the most valuable part of your relationship? What would they lose? Because when we talk about things like, is things necessary? Do you have to do all of that? Why, I've heard this in the church growing up so long. Why you got to do all of that? Why not? It's the same thing. Why do you have to get married? Why not? Why do people feel like it's such a horrible thing? Like I have on one of my pages, I have this one guy that just consistently, it's almost like he stalks my TikTok, because everything I say marriage in, he goes on that, why are you always talking about marriage? It's horrible. And I'm thinking, if you don't like it, just get off my page. And I just haven't, I haven't wanted to block him yet. I haven't blocked him yet, but I probably will soon.
It's funny because I know that it's not common for men, especially, to promote marriage. Especially these days, we got the whole manosphere and the red pill community. The ironic thing, even in the manosphere, what they're calling the manosphere, is that some of the guys at the very top of the manosphere with the most followers actually promote the idea of marriage. And so, again, at this age, if I was starting from scratch at 50 years old, I'm not 50 yet, but I'm close. Unless I was producing children in an arrangement, I probably would not do it. There's extenuating circumstances. She would have to be really, really special, right? But at this point in my life, if I was starting over, it would take something real special to motivate me to get married. But
why do you say that? What would in your mind say it would take someone really, really special for me to do it again?
Well, my wife has set the bar pretty high. Right?
Okay.
So I have somebody that's very special who does it at a very high level. And so for me, if I were to transition from that to someone else, I'm not going backwards. I'm not stepping down. And then on top of that, again, the arrangement, I think, what are we merging for? Are we just merging because we like each other a whole lot? Or are we merging because we're building something? Are we establishing something? And again, I think the purpose of a merger is to build something, not just because you like each other enough. So for me, where I'm coming from, I don't imagine, that I would be doing that unless we were really building something, not just because I like you enough.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people don't have the view that marriage is an inherent financial contract. Because that's really, I mean, whether you use the financial part as being physical money, or whether you think of the financial part of it being economically. And economics doesn't have, is not just about the cash. It's about the value that you're bringing to the community as a whole. It's about you being able to be fruitful and multiply. And that's what it inherently is. It is that. It is built on purpose and purpose only. You know, and a lot of things that people, you know, people get married for the romanticism of it. You know, let's get married because I'm just so in love with you and I can't live without you. And then you wonder where down the line, when you're in that 7-year itch, for lack of better terms, you're trying to figure out what happened, because the love that you thought that you had, when you starting to look at them sideways, because you can't believe that they're doing that. Like, you really eat your food that way, or you left the socks on the floor, or you know how clean I am, but you keep doing this. And so when you're really finding out who this person is, and you're looking at them and you rolling your eyes at them, you're not thinking about the romanticism. You're not thinking about all the beautiful things that you had before. So there has to be another purpose there. And that purpose should be to come together to elevate each other's lives. And most people are not doing that. Hey, Amina, how you doing?
I think also when you consider the extremely high divorce rate, again, for me, what are we merging?
Right.
You know, and that's what it will come down to for me. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I promote it. I think it's a great idea. Even at this age, if, you know, again, I'm talking, you know, hypothetically, because I'm already married, but if I was starting over and I was in a relationship with a young woman who was, let's say she was 38, maybe even 35, and she still wanted children, that would be a reason for me, you know. Or if we had something that, I don't know, if we were merging empires, you know, because at this point in my life, I have a lot to lose. So I'm not marrying you just because I like you, and we're not merging anything. You don't have as much to bring to the table as I do. And I don't measure women necessarily from a bringing to the table standpoint, unless we're not having children. So if we're just getting together because we like each other a whole lot, right? And we can use that love word. I love you, you love me, and all that good stuff. But, you know, maybe you're a waitress. I'm cool with that. I could date a waitress, but I'm not going to put all that I've accumulated on the line so that you can decide you don't like me no more. And now you walk away with, I'm not doing that.
So what's wrong with the prenup?
Well,
because I mean, you don't have to have millions and trillions of dollars to have a prenup. You can have a $35,000 a year job and walk in with the contract saying, "Hey, if we decide to break up, you come in with what you came in with, and you leave with what you came in with, and that's it. We don't. If we merge some things, we'll bring those things and divide those. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. And I will say this. Again, she would have to be very special, because she would have to be bringing something to my life. Like I'm high on character, right? Integrity and the quality of the person. And so if she was able to make me believe that she was such a quality person that, you know, marrying her was beneficial, not just to her because she wanted it, but also to me, like, you know, I want you around that much. That, I mean, it would have to be more than just feelings for me. Again, what are we merging? That's the question.
Yeah.
We're just merging feelings. Yeah. And if we're just merging feelings for me at this point in my life, it wouldn't be worth the risk to me. And I know that's unpopular coming from, you know, a marriage guy, but again, context matters. And I'm saying I'm coming from a marriage. I have children. I have grandchildren. What am I merging with you for?
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have a purpose, because the purpose is what's going to hold it together. The purpose is what's going to keep it together. They said 14% of adults say that they will never marry at all. Over 27% says that they don't know if marriage is for them. And the other less than half of the heterosexual couples, less than half of heterosexual couples are married, but more than 62% of same-sex couples are married. What's wrong with that?
More than 62% of same-sex couples are married.
Yeah.
What?
So basically, let me sum that up just for some people that it went over their heads. They believe in marriage more than heterosexual couples do.
Maybe. Let me just throw this out there. I'm trying to make sure I don't get blocked off these platforms, right? Maybe.
Well,
here's an idea.
Well, let me hold on. Let me tag this in because I read the article, and based off of the surveys, they said that they believe that marriage is the ultimate coming together, and that they were pleased. So go ahead.
I get it. Yeah. Maybe because it's a new phenomenon for them. Like, I think when the dust settles, if they get to the point where they've been doing this thing for centuries upon centuries, like we have, like heterosexual couples have, then maybe the allure kind of wears off. Maybe the shine kind of wears off a little bit. And then, because I think when things are taboo, when it goes against the grain, there's a whole lot of Me Too going on, right? Like, I want to do it. It's brand new. So it's more attractive, I think, more alluring to a lot of people than it might otherwise be once it becomes so much more common. Like the VCR. Everybody, right? Remember when the VCR came out, we was like, oh, I got to get one. Then, and that was, look,
Oh God, no, you didn't.
I'm myself a little bit, right? But in the 80s, in the 1980s, a VCR was like $200.
Yeah.
Right? And boy, if you couldn't afford one, you saved your nickels and pennies until you could get one. You put your twos and fews together. Now, you can get a VCR for $39 if you can find one. Nobody want no VCR. I'm not trying to equate marriage to a VCR. I'm just saying.
Believe you, Coach. Robbie says, I think some people who have been hurt in relationships, they want to put a negative outlook on it. And I agree with that. I think that what is happening, especially right now, we have this cynical view of relationships because people have been injured, right? This is the thing. They have been injured by one or two, maybe three people, and they're against the entire gender because of that. All women or all men. And that is asinine. Let me tell you why. Because according to statistics, in a lifetime, if you reach 77 years, which is what the Father told you, according to the word that you were promised, you will only encounter, unless you're just this super, and we're not even talking about even celebrities who encounter, are around millions of people. They only have relationship with less than 10,000 people in your lifetime. So if you are only encountering less than a percentage of the people on this earth in your lifetime, for people to say it's all men or all women that just, I hate them or I hate this. No, say it's a few that bruised you and get over it.
Now, that's so much easier said than done, right?
Well, but you
I agree. I agree, though.
Take responsibility for your own feelings.
What's this ball player's name? The basketball player that just got duped by the young lady. He's a young basketball player, PJ something. I'm forgetting. Y'all, family, help me out. The young brother name is PJ something. I forget. But she basically got pregnant by him and immediately filed for child support. So now she filed for $200,000 a month in child support. Now, I'm mentioning that because a lot of people will use this as a way of saying, see, women can't be trusted. PJ Washington, there you go.
Okay.
And people, particularly guys, it really discourages us in many ways. Not me, but I'm saying a lot of men. It discourages a lot of men from wanting to get married because that to them is exhibit A of why women can't be trusted. Here's the problem that a lot of people have with marriage. And I'll use men as an example on this. A lot of us are out here. We become successful professionally, financially. We amass this, empire because we got the bag now, right? making maybe, $100,000, $200,000 a year. And now, in many regards, we think of ourselves as the prize. And here come the ladies, right? Pop your collar, dust yourself off, because here they come, right? And they coming, right? Here's the problem. Many times, and I would even go so far as to say, I think in most of those scenarios, the men allow themselves to be gassed by the fact that they have this money, and now the women are flocking to them. But money is not money does not compensate for lack of relationship skills.
Right.
So if you were in high school, in college, and even in your early 20s and maybe even into your 30s, before you got the bag, and the ladies were not, you weren't easy on the ladies, ladies weren't easy, like they weren't sweet on you then, chances are now they're sweet on you because of the money. And money will make people compromise, right? So maybe they don't like you because, I don't know, maybe you're too short, maybe you're too fat, maybe you're too tall, whatever it is. If the ladies weren't checking for you before you got the bag, they're there because of the bag.
Right.
The challenge with that, you can still get beyond that because maybe that's how they get there, but you better have a very high level of discernment so that you can weed out the ones who are really there for you. Otherwise, you get that bag and it's endless because you'll never be able to get to that point where you can trust women, in your mind anyway. The benefit in establishing these relationship skills while you're younger is because you learn how to relate to ladies, right? As a man, right? You learn how to relate. You learn you develop your charismatic side, your charming side, and you know what works. And then you can rightly divide who's there for you versus who's there for what they can get from you. And I think a lot of guys never get to develop that. And you see these guys that are in the NBA, in the NFL, that are professional musicians or entertainers or whatever, and they got all this money, and of course you got all the ladies in the world. And then you marry one only to find out all she wanted was to either get a baby or get a piece of that bag because you didn't develop the relationship skills that are necessary to sustain a relationship. It don't matter how much money you have. If she has to be inspired by something other than the bag to stay there beyond the usefulness of the bag. Am I making sense?
You're making sense.
Yeah.
So, which means that if he had discernment, he would have got married before he got the bag. Because he would have got with somebody that was there for him the entire time.
Yeah, that would have been smart.
But discernment happens to need an emotional base.
Why you say that word with a Z in it?
Is that why I said a discernment?
Ain't no Z in that word.
Because you need an emotional base.
Yeah.
To use that. That is a gift that you cannot block out your emotions and go, nope, not going to be emotional at all. Not going to use those emotions. Yeah. You have to be able to tap into those emotions. You can't just be this logical being for that.
Here's another part. There's this narrative going around now that marriage is about duty, not love. Marriage is about duty. Now, that's partly true because there's a lot of duty in marriage. Mm-hmm. But you have to be inspired by something to continue to be motivated to do or to carry out those duties. You don't we're not robots, right? So nobody's going to show up and just do what they're supposed to do just because it's their job. Because that's really what duty is. It's your job, right? And most people are not disciplined enough to just stay married and do the merry thing just because it's their job. So there has to be something bigger than, I don't say it has to be, I won't say that, but I'll say, I think marriages that are anchored by something bigger than the individual, culture, family, things of that magnitude, right? Mm-hmm. Something more than just how I feel. Right? Because that's what the inspiration is, how I feel. Okay, well, what do you feel strongly about? And that will help me determine whether or not it's a good idea for me to merge with you. if you just feel good or feel strong about the fact that you're happy right now, and that's why you want to marry me, no dice.
Yeah.
Are you concerned about being a disappointment or an embarrassment to your family, an embarrassment to the community? What is anchoring you in this marriage besides your feelings? Right?
Yeah, it has to be you have it. I believe one, it is rooted in your purpose, or at least it should be. And to kind of connect with Coach Vaughn saying that as far as community and all of those types of things, I think religion has something to do with that. Some people are getting away from religion. Whatever your spiritual base is, doesn't have to be named religion, but whatever you believe is higher than you, whatever you're connecting to that's bigger than you, I believe that it needs to be connected in that sense, because then you make the entire situation bigger than you and your feelings can get in check. Because when you start to realize that the coming together for you and this person is this, for one thing, let's back up a little bit. For one thing, if you don't know your purpose before you connect with somebody, you'll never know your purpose in the marriage. You need to know what that is. And again, you got to get away from the whole, oh, I love you, oh, I just can't live without you kind of thing. What is your purpose in your own life? Because then you will start to look for people that have a liking. And I say liking, not as in, I say liking versus similar purposes, because everybody's purpose is not the same, but you may have something that can come together and connect. So once you figure out what that is, now you're attaching yourself, or people are attracted to you based off of what your purpose is. Then you can connect with somebody that you're purposed with. However, right? We have times when we don't know what our purpose is. We get married and now we're here. Now what you need to do is kind of backtrack a little bit, figure out what the purpose, and see how you both can connect to that. So it's not too late because you don't know what that is. You just have to backtrack and see, okay, why were we put together? You know what I'm saying? Why we're not, as in, because I don't believe that God, this is my personal opinion. I don't believe if he gave us will to do everything else, that would be the one thing that he would stop us from having will with. So you got to figure that part out. And a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
James says that some people don't get married because their money ain't right. Just had this talk on Saturday with this lady for 9 years, with the man that was with his lady for 9 years. And that's true. And especially because men are goal oriented. You agree about this, Vaun, that men's purpose, when they're taught when they're younger to get the bag, your manhood has been valued by how much money you got. And if you don't have your purpose together, he's thinking this way. He's not thinking this way.
Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that, I guess. But I'll use myself as an example. I mean, I got married. Man, I think when I got married, I was an E1 in the military. And I think every payday, every 2 weeks, my paychecks were like $230 or something like that. So there's a couple different ways to look at that. My wife, if we wouldn't have gotten married, she could have had her own place. I could have had my own place. We're still expending those resources that are required to run a residence. So she's spending $1,000, $1,200 a month. I'm doing the same thing over here just for rent. That's $2,400. Well, what if we get together, merge, and now our bills are essentially cut in half? Can you do something to help build that empire with that extra $1,000 a month? Yeah, you probably could. Mm-hmm. So again, I think it's important that, we have the right, or I should say, congruent or similar ideas about what we think it takes to make a marriage work. So, yeah, I don't know. I think his first lady said I was broke too.
I just think my husband proposed to me while working at McDonald's. Yeah. I love it.
So yeah, I think so. We're in a time and place right now where so much emphasis is put on money that we're really losing the ultimate purpose. I think the ultimate purpose for marriage, or at least one of the primary purposes for marriage, is being put on the back burner for the pursuit of that bag. And I don't know, man. I think we're losing it. I think we're losing more than we're gaining by waiting all this time. You got guys now that, if you think about it, my grandfather, he was probably marrying my grandmother when he was 17, 18 years old, right? And now we're like, hey, wait a minute, not until you're 35, 40, maybe even 50. Then you go back and get you a 25-year-old or 30-year-old. And I just think that there's something lopsided about that, something out of order, out of balance about that. And I think it's harder to do it that way.
Yeah, I think that one of the things is that we focus on the economy being about money, and that's not what it is. It's not just, it's the economy of us coming together to be fruitful and multiply. That doesn't mean money. Because when we go back to things like I saw a video where the lady says, you know how we can make sure that they don't stop us from doing certain things when it comes to the jab and things of that sort. We can start the bartering system. That has nothing to do with money. That has something to do with, what do you have that I need, and what do I have that you need? And that doesn't have anything to do with the physical money of it, but it still can bring us together to be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah.
And we're so stuck on the tangible part of the economy of it, the economic value that we bring to each other. Because I just think that I think that our minds don't go this way and say, wow, how can what does that mean? And I think that has something to do with the fact of whatever our core beliefs are.
Yeah, and you hear things like, well, it costs $200,000 to put a child through college. By the time you raise a child to be 18 or 21 years old, you will have had to spend several $100,000 or whatever it is. And we hear these numbers thrown about, and it's discouraging because, man, if you have one, most people don't want to just have one. So if I have two, that means over the next 20 years, that child is going to take $1 million out of my pocket. Like, these are terms that people are thinking in as they're deciding whether or not they can afford to have a child. And I think that type of thinking is rooted in the capitalistic ideology that has really never, it was never the reason why we flourished anyway, as far as our families and our communities. Like,
right.
I'm not saying that you can do it without money. I'm not saying that money isn't important. But I'm saying when money takes precedence over whether or not your legacy, your lineage continues, I don't know, man. I think we're going backwards.
Yeah. I think that a lot of times when we think of, like, all those questions, $200,000 for college, and if we thought about, like, how can I bring my children into the world and teach them my business? Mm-hmm. How can I then, groom them into being the entrepreneur that I am, into being, what I'm saying? When you think of that, because, like, college is not for everybody. So when we come in and we're preparing the lives of these little babies that we should be thinking of as I'm preparing this child to be somebody's husband or somebody's wife, and we're thinking about those things, there should be some flexibility of, what if my child just happens to not like school? Am I going to force them into that? Right. What if they're not in that position mentally or brain wise, for lack of better terms? What if there's something wrong? And all of these things we're thinking of, but they have these gifts that are just innately wired within them when they were born and created. Yeah. That's going to make them way more money than college could ever have. But our minds we put ourselves in these boxes versus, just saying, hey, let's come together for purpose. As long as we're in it for purpose, everything that seeds out of that is going to be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, and I think it's more important to be able to sustain yourself than to necessarily be a millionaire or wealthy or whatever. So what if your family business is, I don't know, well, I breed Doberman Pinschers, right? That's something that I might pass down to my grandchildren. Now, Will they become millionaires? I don't know. It can scale. They can make it. They can end up making it bigger and produce show dogs and do all kinds of stuff with that. That'll be up to them. But at the very least, they would be able to sustain themselves, make a livelihood for themselves. Where, if my grandson took it over, his wife doesn't have to work outside the home if she didn't desire that. You know what I mean? Like, you could actually make a good living on that without necessarily being a millionaire. And I think people have aspirations that are sometimes so lofty that it compromises or conflicts with the purpose for us being here, which is, like you said, to multiply.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the alternatives, because we're talking about, our whole topic is marriage even necessary? And see, so there are some alternatives to marriage that, in certain states that you can, go move there and then you can, be a part of that. There's civil unions, and then there's domestic partnerships. Now, keep in mind, both of these things were put into place simply in the 80s because of same-sex marriages or couples, and because they couldn't get married, so they came up with these things. But now they include heterosexual couples, and a civil union that's legally recognized as a legally recognized status is almost identical to marriage. The only difference between those two is the only difference between a domestic partnership and marriage is the certificate. But civil union gives you a little bit, more, less than what domestic partnerships do. But civil unions are actually recognized in more places than, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, no, domestic partnerships are recognized in more places than the civil unions are. Yeah. So this is some of the things, because a lot of people talk about, well, I don't have to be married. I can just be with my person for all this time. But I always talk about, we may not be of this world, but we live in this world and we have to abide by some laws and some rules. So some of the things that, I saw that marriage benefits is you got, if you have a job, you get sick and bereavement time, you get health and dental, death benefits and inherited rights, visitation rights if somebody's in jail or in the hospital, especially now, power of attorney rights, accidental life insurance, housing rights, and parental leave and adoption rights. Those things can kind of go with civil union as well as with marriage in some states. So if you go by the legalities of it, marriage is necessary in close to 40 something states
to get the most out of the union. Yeah.
If you don't want to spend 20 years with somebody and they pass, and then their family didn't like you in the beginning and they come in and snatch up everything.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any rights to anything that belongs to them because you decided not to get married. Or if that person is sick, especially with what's happening in COVID now, you can't go to the hospital to visit them.
Yeah. Yeah. Pros and cons to every scenario. And I think ultimately people have to decide, I think people have to make their own list and decide what works out for them, what works best for them in whatever it is that they're trying to do. But
these two ladies, a British woman, she made it to 104 years old. She said that she attributes her lifelongness, or her longevity in life, as never having a boyfriend or getting married. And then a Scottish woman who made it to 109 years old says, eat your porridge and avoid men.
Wow. Now, see, you got to consider the source, because, what were their experiences to the point where they thought life was better without men?
I have no idea.
And it's right. We can't measure that. But I'm saying, if you ask me what the secret to my happiness is, or what undergirds, me being who I am and the way that I feel about life, and, what adds to the zest that I feel, I attribute a lot of that to my marriage.
Yeah.
I imagine I'm probably going to live to see 100 or so years old. And I would say, man, if somebody asked me, man, what's the secret to your success? Here you are at 112 years old. You got, because I probably see 112 or so.
Okay.
Right. And somebody might say, man, what's the secret, to your longevity? You got 97 great grandchildren and so on. Right. So I would say, man, get married young. Find you one person that is really good for you. Get married young. I got married at 18. I would say get married young to the person that really means something to you and you mean something to them, and y'all form something and ride it out. And I'm telling you, I think those are the people who live the longest, most fulfilling, and healthiest lives.
Yeah.
I put money on that.
Yeah. I think that a lot of times the reason why, especially the millennials, because they say that somewhere around 38% of millennials are totally against marriage, but they are about cohabitating. So I think that the main thing is it because they have steered away from religion, right? And because religion has told us that you get married so that you don't go to hell because you will be fornicating and shacking, right? Living in sin. And so a lot of the millennials have decided, I'm not doing that. I don't care about that. I'm okay. Who said that it was wrong? And that's a man-made Bible. All these different things that go around, right? So This is my thought. I wanted to kind of talk about what people believe is real marriage. Do you think that it's just a certificate, or do you think it is a mindset?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because according to the word, for those who are spiritual and believe in the Bible and believe in scripture and things of that sort, everybody don't. But that's my belief, and that's why I believe so in marriage, because I don't want to be living in sin, right? Or I don't want to feel convicted every time I lay with my man, and things of that sort. So if you think of that, there was no certificate with Adam and Eve. Their marrying was them coming together as one.
The merge.
Had nothing to do with going down to you say what?
The merge.
The merge, the having the sex, the doing the oompa, the hunching. All of that.
The what?
Doing the oompa, the hunching. Don't mess with my words. Y'all know I be making up words.
Yeah.
But that's what marriage was. It was the coming together as one in one body, putting the two bodies together. It had nothing to do with the certificate. So what are your thoughts on that, brother? That, is it a mindset? Because according to scripture, Christ came to a woman. He was like, you got 5 husbands. And she was like, how you know? Yeah, because you was sleeping with 5 different guys.
Now, look, his first lady said it's all about the covenant, right? Now, I'll say this. I think that probably the single biggest reason why divorce rates are very high, and the rate that we even marry is at an all-time low, is cultural. Yeah. There has been a huge decline in our culture, in our cultural values. Our culture has been decimated, right? So in that, I'm saying you have a lot of youngsters these days, millennials, that have never even seen a healthy relationship, a healthy marriage. Right. My little cousin, my cousin's daughter, came and stayed with us for a little while. And this was, I don't know, maybe almost 10 years ago now, but, we would play board games with, we ate together as a family, we watched movies as a family. She said, man, y'all act like a white family.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, that's whiteness, to sit together and eat as a family, to play Monopoly as a family, to, laugh and joke and play, just have a good time enjoying each other's company. And then me and my wife, we sit on the couch together, and I might have my arm around her while the children are on the other couches or whatever. In her mind, Black people don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying that at this point in our lives, at this point in time, in our culture, there are so many young people who have not even laid eyes on what anything that resembles a healthy relationship, let alone a long-lasting and sustained marriage.
Yeah.
So in many of their minds, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, why would they? In order to be, you have to see.
Yeah.
Right? So many of us, again, we won't be inspired by that which we have not even seen. And then further, what when you look at TV and all the tabloids and PJ Washington, the lady just took him. So people don't even believe it's possible in many
Yeah.
ways. And again, I think that's externally orchestrated, but that's a different conversation. But again, I think it is a mindset, to your point. But even deeper than that, I think it's a cultural ideal that we're sorely lacking. And I'll just finish with this. I think that if you go to every culture, every ethnic group, you don't have high critical thinkers in every group. I think that the critical thinkers only amass for maybe 10%, 20% at the most, right? So I think that 80%, and let's just be kind and say 75% of the majority of your people, 75% are going with the flow.
Yeah.
Right? They ain't trying to think outside the box. They ain't trying to do too much extra. They don't want to break no rules. They just want to, mama went to school, I'm going to school. Daddy went to college, I'm going to college. Whatever the average is, whatever 75%, the majority of that 75% is doing, that's what's going to turn out as your cultural ideal. So in the Chinese community, they're great at math. They're great at education. They excel at academics. So it's standard for them to excel academically, not because they're necessarily smarter, organically, I should say, smarter than us, but their standard, their average, their masses, that 75% or more is moving toward the direction of being academically excellent. Ours isn't that way. In their culture, the masses of them, the 75%, are getting married, having children in wedlock. Oh my God, you better not ever get divorced. You bring shame and dishonor to the family. This is what the average is, right? Our averages aren't like that. Our averages are a little different. They're more organic, not even organic. I hate that word in this context. So our averages are what our averages are. So we have a higher dropout rate. We have a higher divorce rate. We have a higher single parent home rate, right? All these different things that we have. And so our averages are going to be reflective of those ideals. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And one of the things I actually had a conversation with an Asian woman before, and she was like, they think that we're all smart because we're smart. She says, no, we just were taught discipline. And it's not so much that we're so smart in the sense of we just know math. It's that they were disciplined to do it over and 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 over again until they got it right.
Exactly.
And so that is the thing, because in order for you to have discipline, there has to be some foundation that has been laid. The problem that's in our community is that our foundation keeps getting shucking. It just keeps getting rattled. You have to, if you look at many families, like I know for me, we moved a lot. So our foundation was like this. But we did grow up with how Yarly says, doing it every summer, or we was at dinner. Everybody knew when my daddy stood outside the house, whistle, my dad was calling us in for dinner. We all had to eat at the same time. We couldn't get up from the table until dinner was over and things of that sort. But we still moved around a lot. We moved around a lot. So I think that because we don't, as a community wide, have the discipline, there's sprinkles of us, because of course we got the Jordans, and we got because those people have retained that discipline out of survivalship, out of saying, you know what, I don't want to be like my mama. I don't want to be poor no more. I don't want this. So then they dig up the seed of discipline, then comes up. But as a community, that's not there for us, which is why we don't see that. I think it was there more back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, when our parents and our grandparents stayed together for the sake of the family, because that was a discipline saying, hey, we're not going nowhere until these kids get up out of this house. And then we might even stay together if grandkids come around. You know, so certain things like that is what I think that happens.
Mm-hmm. And even if you look at different things that take place in our community, can you imagine? I don't know. I don't have very many Asian people that I communicate with, right? And by Asian, let's just be more specific and say Chinese. They're probably not throwing baby showers for their teenagers who come home pregnant.
If they're having teenagers that come home pregnant that they ain't put away somewhere.
If they're having them at all, right? So we, in many regards, we're celebrating that in our culture. We're celebrating, a young lady who's 18. Well, she's grown now, right? She's grown. She got a baby on the way. She can do what she want to do. She can do bad all by herself and all this other stuff, right? So she's got a baby shower coming, people bringing gifts. And I'm not saying that, she should necessarily be outcast. I'm saying that that's standard right now in our community. It used to be, they'll send you down south if you came up pregnant too early, right? Look at, and let's take a look at the males. You got so many males in our community who aspire to be basketball players, football players, right? Suffering academically, but thriving on the football field, basketball field, and the coaches are even, and the teachers are even working together to push you through because you're doing such a great job for the school. Can you imagine that happening to a Chinese kid or Japanese or Vietnamese kid? No, they're going to thrive. They're going to excel academically. Here's another one. Look at how many boys, myself included, I was the class clown. If I could make the whole class laugh, oh man, that was great, right? And I, oh man, that was funny. You get the teacher's going to frown at you, but your peers, many of them, will be like, oh man, that was dope, or whatever that you did that was clownish. Imagine that happening in the classroom with a Vietnamese child, or with all Vietnamese children, or all Chinese or Japanese, Oriental, even Indian. Like that there's a different standard that is being set where we lean or we gravitate more toward entertainment, party, and bullshit is what I like to call it, right? We gravitate more toward what's fun and looking good, and they have a higher penchant towards gravitating to the things that actually yield good results. So rather than just looking good, they're actually doing good, doing well. And again, it's not organic. We know that we've had all kinds of obstacles that have been placed in our past. So I'm not saying that, we're naturally or inherently more screwed up than anybody else. We have endured more than any other group. As a matter of fact, we are the only group in this country whose very own country has caused them opposition. Whereas these other groups, they get help from their homeland and assistance from our very own government. So it's a whole new dynamic that we're facing that's very different from what they're facing. But I'm still saying what I'm saying, right? We have things that we gravitate toward that don't yield healthy outcomes.
Right.
And the converse is true in a much greater proportion in other groups.
And we have been, because our community has been bound, for lack of better term. Well, I have better terms, but for the terms I won't, let's say keep it, have been bound for so long that anything that looks like freedom, we want to do it. And freedom doesn't look like discipline. It's that free thinking. I'm going to do what I want to do. Ain't nobody can tell me what I'm going to do. I'm grown. I can do what I want to do kind of thing. And so that's where our lack of discipline comes from. Because when you take anybody, and this is sad, but it's generationally happening in our community, you take somebody and lock them up. Either one or two things going to happen when they get unlocked. They're going to be so afraid that they're going to stand in the corner and never move again, or they going buck wild because there's a mind thing. That's something that happens to their mind, and that keeps going generational because you do it because your grandmama told you to. And why are we doing this again? Because grandmama did it. Okay, we just keep doing it, and that's kind of how what we've continued to do. And I like how his first lady says that we haven't always celebrated teen parenthood, that they all learned morals from us and then use entertainers to shame us for following our morals. They did. But also not just entertainers. How about the healthcare industry? Because I remember back in the day, Cold Carla was, you go to the doctor. If you think you're pregnant, guess what? They're going to call you because you didn't get pregnancy tests right away. You got, you go to the doctor, you pee for them, and then they tell you in a couple of days, they call you up. Hi, may I speak to Michelamonè? Who's calling? This is Carla. Oh, okay, hold on. Michela, hey, Carla. You're not pregnant.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so Code Carla, I don't know what codes they got now, but they definitely had it then. So that was against us. That was taking out our parents so that our parents couldn't know what was going on. And then these 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, because I was 18 years old. I still didn't know nothing, but you're taking that responsibility from who's supposed to have that responsibility and giving it to somebody who don't know nothing.
Yeah. And I think we're promoting very different ideals about what adulthood is at this stage than we were promoting 50 or even 75 years ago.
Right.
Adulthood is now I'm grown, I can do whatever I want to do. I can hang out, I can drink, I can smoke, I can, it's very recreational.
Yeah.
As opposed to work related, goal, purpose related. A brother asked me earlier today, what do I think the biggest difference is in couples who lasted 75 years ago versus couples who don't seem to be able to last these days. And he had this long list. I'll read it real quick. He said, before you get married, discuss bills. It's going around on Facebook, this meme. You need to discuss bills, parenting styles, credit, debt, religion, how to deal with family, what beliefs will be instilled in your children, childhood traumas, sexual expectations, partner expectations, financial expectations, family health history, mental health history, bucket list, dream home, careers, education, political views, and whatever else comes to mind, because love alone is not enough.
Right.
Right. Now, I don't have any problem with that. I think you should discuss as many things as you can, put as many of your ideals or your ideas that could potentially become conflicts. I think you should put as many of those on the table as possible. But here's the difference, because they didn't discuss all those things back then, right? I don't think they had all of these broad discussions 75 years ago. And I think that even in arranged marriages now, maybe they don't have quite as many ideas on the table for discussion. I think the biggest difference is that in some cultures, marriage is seen as essential. In this culture, marriage is recreational.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how good you make me feel.
Yeah.
And then if you don't make me feel good no more, then we probably can't kick it no more.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest difference. And here's the caveat: marriage is as essential now as it's ever been.
Yeah.
But we don't see it.
Don't. I actually give my premarital coaching clients a list of 27 things. It's 27 questions. And I tell them to discuss these questions over a 3-week period. Sit down with a few questions every week and talk about those things in depth. I mean, talking about things from losing a baby, losing a job, infidelity, family members bartering into your lives, all these different things that people don't naturally talk about. And one of the things that I even had one of my clients to say, male clients, he said, I mean, like, why we have to talk about these things? Why, like you just said, recreational. I want to just get to know her and enjoy her. Why does everything have to be fun? And a lot of men I've heard that in different arenas on social media, talking about she always got to be serious. Well, if you're talking about being with somebody, then yeah, you got to have some serious conversations. You just can't have fun and kick it.
Yeah, you can. my daughter, she made a Facebook status. This was, I don't know, a few months ago or so, and she said it was something about what's the best advice your father ever gave you. And for some reason, this resonated with her. I told her that dating should be fun, but don't date for fun.
Mm.
And that just really resonated with her to the point where, I mean, she got married, I think, when she was her early 20s. She's a woman now. They have two children and everything, but they got, I think, early 20s, 22, 23 when they got married.
Yeah.
There was a comment by, where did it go? Did I lose it? Robert Lee.
Yeah, I wanted to go there too.
Yeah, the problem I have in dating is that I am a male that actually had his father in his life. So there are certain things that he showed me how to act and how to treat a woman, or family. And our community, that's not a lot of us that actually had that male figure there for some of us men. And when we meet those women that did not have that strong male presence in their lives, it's a pushback because they haven't seen certain behaviors in men. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. And this is, I actually had this conversation on TikTok with a guy who said something similar to that. He had his father in his life, but the women don't want to, for lack of a better term, submit to that authority that comes from that man being a man's man, right? If you recognize that, you have to then give grace or hold out until you find a woman that had her daddy in her life. Because a lot of times people are not willing to give grace. They believe that because their upbringing is normal to them, that it should be normal to everybody. And that's not true. We have over 80% of our male children being raised by single mothers. 80%. That's a big number. So it's like I have my daddy in my life too. So, so we're unicorns to have that male figure raising us. The kids now, it's not normal for some people.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
And I don't know. I think I lost my train of thought.
That's because you putting up this comment on a day with intention. Would you think of something else about that?
No. Let me just go to this comment right here.
Okay.
In the Black community, we often celebrate bad behaviors of its members. We do not encourage family units, mutual cooperation between our males and females, only indulging in frivolous entertainment, singing, dancing, play sports, or our forte. Look, first of all, yes, I agree with that. There's a lot of that. We have so many different, again, culture is the primary defense, your primary psychological defense against the insanity that the world offers you.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, this world is offering us all kinds of insanity. And our defense against that insanity is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
And so for us right now, it's almost as if anything goes. You can do almost anything. You can call women all out their names. You can fight women. You can blame women for all of the ills that plague Black American families. Like, there are guys out here right now that place the primary blame on Black women for all that bothers the Black community. That's insane to me, but there are guys that are doing that. And then you have Black women out here who, they have their own axe to grind with men. There are Black women who absolutely despise Black men on one hand and demean them, but in the next breath they feel like they have to have one, but they're taking advantage of them in unscrupulous ways. So, have a baby by me and be a millionaire, like this lady did to PJ Washington, right? So now in all of that, we have, again, it started with the breakdown of our culture, but you have all of these different pieces of other cultures that we're borrowing from. So we like a little bit of what the Buddhists do, so we're going to adopt a little bit of that. And we like a little bit of what the Muslims do, and a little bit of what the Christians do. And then, ooh, look at those people over there from ancient Egypt and what they say about Ma'at. And so we're going to borrow a little bit of that. So we have all of these different pieces. We're the most splintered ethnic group out of all of the ethnic groups, Black Americans. And what we're finding is you find men and women trying to piece this together because a Black man wants to be with a Black woman, and ultimately a Black woman wants to be with a Black man. But a lot of Black women are Christians. A lot of Black men aren't Christians. We're subscribing to other ideas. And there are a lot of Black women who they ain't going, right? If you ain't rocking with my Jesus, I can't rock with you. And in many regards, Jesus is her husband, right? And she gonna die with Jesus as her husband and nobody else. And there are Black men who are bittered about that, because she's not flexible. She wants him to lead, but except for when it comes to religion, right? So it's just a whole bunch of different splinters that we're trying to piece together. And I'm telling you that cultural piece is huge, because I think it's the one thing. It's supposed to be the glue, the tie that binds, right? But with it being as splintered as it is, and our culture being as fractured and fragmented as it is the primary reason why we're struggling to get together and form healthy unions and build strong families and communities.
Yeah. I think that, again, it has to do with where we were planted and how we were planted and the things that we were taught generationally and so forth. And so this narrative that we're bouncing against or fighting against or fighting each other about, it wasn't created by us. And until we get that in our mind, we won't be able to combat it the way it needs to be combated, because it doesn't have anything to do with fighting each other or saying that you're wrong or you're right, or no, I don't like you because you did this, or everybody like this. We got to get to the place where we're deciding that I don't remember coming out of my mama's stuff. And since I don't remember that, she don't either, because she should be hitting me upside the head about all that pain that I caused her. So it's like we can't remember those things, but we're not angry about it. So why are we angry about something that we didn't cause and we don't remember, but we're passing it down? It's kind of like the same way as you see children who turn into racists because their white parents have taught them to be. They may have never encountered racism. They may have never even seen a Black person, but they grow up afraid of them because their parents have told them to be. And anything that you're afraid of, you lay down, you kill, you get rid of. So I think that we just got to get to the place of we're deciding what is the purpose of what we want out of our lives. How do we want to live? How do we want to thrive? And then once we do that, then we can better make decisions on our coming together. We can better make decisions on who we allow in our lives, and we can take that. Because I tell people all the time, if you don't know what you want and then you keep getting crap, that's because you don't know what you want. Yeah. If you really want to know and stop getting the crap, then you sit down with yourself and say, you know what, out of this person, when I meet my husband, when I meet my wife, I want her to, or I want him to. Sit down with yourself and write that out. So that when the counterfeit comes along, the person that shouldn't be in your life and is giving you all types of havoc and all that mess, you can automatically know, oh, they're not doing this. Bye. Yeah. I'm not going to try to pretend that, I'm going to hope that you do it. If you're not doing it now, you're not.
Yeah.
You can have situations where you meet somebody, you stay with them, like Vaun talks about his story all the time about his wife, really being patient with him. That's good. But in this day and time, if he or she does not meet at least 8 of your top 10, walk away before you get hooked into it, because you're not going to be able to change them.
Yardley just made a comment where he says, if she's not on your plan, tell her to beat sand or something like that.
Yeah. If you're not in the plan, tell them to beat sand.
There it is. If she doesn't follow your plan, doesn't want to follow your plan, tell her to beat sand.
He was talking about what Robert Lee said earlier about, the woman not wanting to follow, that. So
Yeah.
I love how she says, I date with a purpose, and most people do not understand that and misinterpret why I'm not a dater.
Mm.
That's absolutely true. People don't date with purpose. They date. It's so asinine to me for somebody to say when you say, what are you looking for? Oh, you know what? I mean, I really looking for my rib, but I ain't found her yet. And when I find her, I'ma know who she is. What does she look like? I know when I find her. No, you won't, because you don't even know what she look like.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. So let me ask you this question. And this is for the family too. Is love necessary in a marriage? Is love
You ask me.
necessary in a marriage? Yeah, you go first.
Not at first.
Explain.
Purpose has nothing to do with love. Adam didn't wake up to a wife and say, "Oh, I love her. Let me come together with her." Adam woke up, that your wife, dude. Oh, okay. Let's create purpose. Let's do what we're purpose here to do. I don't
So
think that it's necessary at first.
Kimberly Polk says yes. And his first lady says yes for the long haul. For the long haul. So that means on your wedding day. I'm saying on your wedding day.
No.
Is it necessary for you to have these feelings of love, euphoria? And I guess we even have to define what love is. But I think for most people, when they think I love you, that they're thinking, what they feel. Right. So I'm saying in terms of that aspect of love, how I feel about that person, is that part necessary to have a successful marriage? And you say not on day one.
No, I don't think that you need to because this is the thing. For one thing, if you think about what men think love is, ask most men what love is. They're gonna think that it's these fireworks, that something just hit me and I fell in love with her. It is not a feeling.
You think that's
Love
what men
is a decision.
You think okay? You saying that's what men think? You don't think women feel that way? Just men?
Women, no. Okay, let me say it this way. It's easier for women to feel that. So when a man doesn't feel that because he's not dealing in his emotions, because he's emotional, but he's not dealing in that part of the emotions, he's thinking, I should have this feeling. I don't have that feeling for her, so I must not be in love with her. And
Okay.
a woman is saying, well, I feel those things, so I must be in love with him. I think personally that love is a decision. I don't think it has something to do with feeling.
Okay.
That's just me.
Robert Lee says, for me, yes, love has to be there because love, it's a part of caring. And if I don't care, it doesn't matter what your purpose is. It doesn't matter to me.
So do you have to care? Do you have to love somebody to care about them?
I don't think you have to love them in order to care about them. But again, my idea about love, well, let me finish reading these. His first lady says, no, not on the wedding day. Commitment trumps love on the wedding day. I like that.
I like
on the wedding day. My wife says love is absolutely necessary for me. I don't think she means on the wedding day, though. I don't know. You might stand me corrected on that. Kim says, not going on feelings. No. Sex. Anybody ask you about sex? Yardley says, for men, it's respect, not love. For women, love, then respect. And Kim says, some men get married because I'm tired of cheating and going to the same movies over and over again with 3 different women. So we trying to save money, Kim?
Right. And so that's the thing. Like I like how Yardley put that, because love and respect is here for men. If they did a survey, okay, I have to look at, because I've been talking about this for years. They did a survey and asked men, over 400,000 men they did in this survey, what would you rather have, love or respect? And a overwhelming 82% of them said, I would rather have respect. So if they would rather have respect, and many of them were married, did they have love first?
Right.
Probably not. But when he realized how she respected him, that's where the love came.
Yeah, yeah. Robert Lee says, well, on your perspective, it's not about love. Do you think arranged marriages are better? Because usually in arranged marriages, it's not about love. I think we can see history has bared out that arranged marriages tend to last longer.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's primarily because it's rooted in something bigger than just how the individuals feel.
Yeah.
And we know that in an arranged marriage, if that arranged marriage fails, then the parents failed. And not only have you disappointed your parents and your family and each other's family, you've disappointed the culture.
Right.
So it's bigger than just how you feel. And I think that just in keeping with that, this idea of romantic marriage, not romance, because that's different, but romantic marriage, getting married based on feelings, this is new.
It is.
It's only about couple hundred years old at the most, right?
If that. And I think that the dawn of the romantic-based marriage is also the dawn of the decline of the institution of marriage and family. Yeah.
So to that I say, is marriage, is love, feelings of love necessary on day one, on your wedding day? And I say no. I like the idea that his first lady said commitment, right? And then you have to be you can sum it up by saying commitment, because if you honor the commitment, then you're dealing with somebody that's high character and high integrity, right? Yeah. You give me that, and we're gonna walk the long haul, right? Yeah. We're gonna make it. We're gonna have babies, we're gonna have grandbabies, and maybe even get a couple of generations of great grands in there. But you get somebody that's marrying on feelings. We know feelings are fleeting. I mean, my wife woke up this morning and told me she ain't like me.
You silly.
No, I can't say that for real, but I'm saying,
She said that at one time in her life, and that's not whatever. That's what. This is what I'm trying to get people to understand when they talk about, like, I had this long argument on TikTok with this guy, back and forth, talking about love is important. Yeah. And you mean to tell me that people are married 30, 40, 50, 60 years, don't look at each other and roll their ass at some point going, why are you here? Like, then don't you got somewhere to go? So you're not liking them? Right. That happens. But if you have purpose, you like, I don't like you today, but you lucky I'm got purpose with you.
Now, see, when you do marriage the right way, you may not have all these feelings of euphoria on day one, on the day that you get married, because you're getting married for purpose, right? And you're marrying based on commitment. So you're marrying the idea as much as you're marrying the person.
Right.
But when you do it right, love is as much about sacrifice as it is about anything else.
Yeah. Do
I see nice looking young ladies that would like to spend time with me? I do. I see them. Does my wife have young men or men that would like to spend time with her outside of what we have? Yeah. But we forego those things in honor of the sacrifice that it takes to love each other. Love is not just how you feel. It's about also what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
The compromises you're willing to make, the sacrifices that you're willing to make, being thoughtful, reciprocating, right? There's all kinds of things that it takes to produce this thing called love. It's not just what you feel, right? So in that sense, I say, at the onset, love is not necessary. But in order to bring a healthy relationship to fruition, the things that we pour in, the ingredients that we pour into the marriage, is what I call love. And if you're fortunate enough to do that, then after the children are grown and gone, you have a life partner to spend the rest of you can really, like right now, me and my wife, man, we kick it.
Yeah.
I mean, like the fellas want to go out sometime and I'm like, I can go with the fellas. But if I don't go with the fellas and I just go to the movies with my wife or go out to eat with my wife, man, I'm cool.
Yeah.
We go on trips and all that. So I'm saying you can have somebody that you can spend your life with rather than somebody that you felt like you were doing time with.
And that's the thing. When you think about what commitment really is, the discipline of commitment, and you fall, for lack of better terms, in love with that person based off of that, that is a foundation that is unshakable. That's where longevity comes in. And don't be deceived, you can still be happy in a committed based marriage. You definitely can be, because you're committed to that commitment, and that, man, that is something that is unfailing to me.
Yeah.
You get in love, and because this is the thing. Most people, like, you remember what was the name of that song or that poem that says, I love you, let me count the ways, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I actually have a list that of reasons. It's like 122 reasons of why people are in love, why they fall in love. And every one of those, I went through the entire list, right? And I thought of things that could never change, no matter what you did. Like, I love you because you Black. Not gonna change, right? I love you because you're thin and small. Could change. I love you because you support me. Could change. So when you think of all of the reasons that you love your partner, if they changed, are you going to get out of the commitment? Are you going to walk away because they can no longer have sex with you because they were in a car accident? They've gone blind, so they can't see what you look like anyway. You got bigger, you got smaller, you lost your job, you don't have as much money as you have. All these different things that we say, oh, I love him because. I say personally, if a person says to you, I love you because,
they can point to one reason, and that ain't enough.
That ain't right. That's what it should. Don't love me because of nothing. Love me because you just do. That's how I am. I love people because I do. Because I promise you, the person that I am in the core, if you piss me off, if I didn't really love people for just because I do, I would just be a hermit in somebody's mountain in a cave, because folk will disappoint you. So if you're falling in love and you're being in love with people because of what they do, that's the wrong mindset. Because if they stop it, and that's where we go with that whole conditional and unconditional love. I love just because I do.
We love right now is purely transactional for most people.
Yeah.
It's based on what you do for me right now, and how I feel about you right now.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know that we ever get away from. I don't know that we'll ever get away from it being transactional on some level, because if nothing else, there has to be some level of reciprocity taking place in the relationship. Who goes first is irrelevant, I think, but whoever goes first, they should be able to reasonably expect some sort of return on their investment.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that they should expect a return on their investment, or they should automatically receive it because if both parties are purposed, committed, they are automatically going to give it to their reciprocity will automatically come?
I don't think it's automatic. I think it's a conscious decision.
No. What I'm saying is, if you and your wife both feel that we're committed to this and we're going to give our all no matter what, wouldn't you automatically get reciprocity? Wouldn't she automatically get reciprocity if your mindsets were on the commitment of it?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe I think the question is kind of entering the wrong lobe of my brain, but I guess let me answer it this way, and you let me know if this resonates. I'm saying that if my wife is doing something, I think it's humanly impossible to put out effort. Now, again, if you're going down and you're feeding the homeless, that's one thing. You don't expect anything in return because you're just giving, right? But I think that a person becomes depleted if they're in a relationship where there is a sense of interdependency. She's depending on me for something. I'm depending on her for something. And so if she's doing something for me consistently, there has to be some level of reciprocity from me to her, because at some point she's going to look up and be like, well, damn, you know, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Not that I've been keeping count, not that I've necessarily been taking inventory, but she's going to notice a deficit at least. Like, you're not doing anything, you're not showing up in any kind of way. Somebody's going to notice that. So, yeah, I don't think it's automatic. I think it's a conscious decision that has to be made. And
yeah, I mean, I get, it was different than my question, but I think that I think the whole core of it is, if you choose well,
okay,
right? If you choose well, you're going to choose someone that will automatically give you reciprocity. If you choose well, that means you're choosing on purpose. You're choosing with purpose in mind, and you're choosing because you're both coming together for a greater good. And when you come together for a greater good, it's like the greater good can be, let's take it down to the mere thing of, I'm going to a job because I want my 2 weeks check, right? You know, if you go to work, you show up, you clock in and clock out and go back home, you're not getting paid. Well, yeah, I showed up to work every day. I was there.
Right.
I was there. Yeah, but you clocked in and then you clocked back out. So how do you think that you're going to get something? But if I show up to work every day and I put in my 8 hours in that day, I am going to expect, and I should get, my 2 weeks check at the end of the 2 weeks. But I have done something that should automatically give me the reciprocity of that thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if I'm going to the situation, like I said, clocking in and clocking out, how you going to expect something? But I'm not choosing well. I'm not making the right decisions.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
I get it.
So yeah, this is good. Maybe call it mutual intentional intentional survivability.
Right. Yarly, man. The wordsmith.
always. So this is good, y'all. This is good.
Yeah, and we, you know, there was more meat on that bone too, but I think we fleshed it out pretty good.
You got some more meat?
Well, no. Well, I was just thinking. I'll just end with this. I think that, especially in today's culture, because we're much more sensitive, and again, we're I don't know that we'll ever return to that place where we're marrying because it's essential rather than for recreation. I think there will always be some blend of that. Now, so with that in mind, I think reciprocity looks different to some people. So if I do this and my expectations, maybe in my mind, reciprocity looks like, you know, I'm going to work every day, I'm doing all these things. Why don't you make breakfast for me in the morning? And maybe even have my lunch packed, or maybe have my clothes ironed. Like, if you're staying at home, I have ideas about what you doing for me equivocates to what I'm doing for you. And I think oftentimes, and I'm not saying that that's what my expectations were, I'm just using it as an example, that I think sometimes when we have our own ideas about what reciprocity looks like, and they don't align with our mate's ideas of what reciprocity looks like, even those things create problems. So I could be going to work and maybe I'm putting in 65, 70 hours a week. And I would like for my wife to do what I have in mind for her to do for me, right? But if in her mind, she's thinking, oh, I'm gonna show my baby, you know, how much I appreciate him by doing something that doesn't align with what I'm thinking, then I'm looking at her like, damn, you coming up short. Like I'm 65, 75 hours a week and you won't even ... Like I'm saying all that to say conversations have to be had, open, honest dialogue, so that, you know, we're not leaving each other hanging as to what it is that we're expecting from one another. What does reciprocity really look like to you? Because it might be even easier than what I had in mind. Right. You know, or you could be putting in your greatest effort and you're falling short. So that's all I was getting at with the whole.
I call that loving somebody the way they need to be loved.
Exactly.
Most people because of us naturally, innately who we are.
Yeah.
We naturally love the way we want to be loved. That's just a natural response.
Yep.
I want attention. I'm going to give you attention. I like gifts. I'm going to buy you gifts. I like words of affirmations. I'm going to give you words of affirmations.
I like
But
my
those
bald
things
head
may not,
rub. I like my head
right.
rub, so I'm gonna rub my wife's head.
Yeah, it
No.
may not. She may be like, "Why you doing that? Don't get in my hair." You know, and
Yeah.
so people don't understand, and so that's where you get this. You ungrateful because you're not getting the, "Oh, that was so good, baby. Thank you so much," back. You're
Yeah.
not getting that because they like, "I hate flowers. You keep bringing them to me. I don't even want these."
Yeah.
Or do you know I'm trying to lose weight? Why you keep bringing me candy?
Yeah.
Or, you know, I don't even care if you say I love you. Did you tell me I built a deck outside? Did you tell me how great it was? Did you put pictures of it on social media? You know,
Right.
just all these different things build me up so that I can know how, you know, but you got to have that conversation.
Yep.
Stop expecting your partner to receive love the way that you receive it.
Yep.
If you know what your love language is, find out what theirs is and have a conversation about it. You know, babe, I just really, I liked how, you know, you bought me that dress. Oh, it was beautiful. I love that dress. Like I'm not a gift person. Don't get me wrong. I like gifts, right? But that don't fire me up. Sit there and water me with the word, boy. Just talk about me. Just tell me how wonderful I am. I'll be like, you know.
Words of affirmation is what you say.
That's it.
All right.
You know, love on me with the, you know, talk to me. You know, those are things, but people are so busy loving the way they want to love.
Yeah.
Instead of having that conversation. So,
yep. Man, this has been a good show.
It has been a good show that has been strategically and warmfully created and sponsored by Conditions of Love by Vaun-The Alchemist and his wonderful wife, Desi.
Let me put that in here. www.the.
Yes, 31 Days of Conditions of Love. Get that book.
Cop that.
Walk through with your. I'm sorry. Did I say it wrong?
No. I said, yeah, go ahead and cop that. Y'all go ahead and
get
that. And then Coach
that book and work through it. Is not just a book to read, is a workbook that you work through with your spouse so that you can love each other more and understand the conditions of y'all's love, right? And also make sure that you pick up Rejection Saved My Life, 15 transformational keys on using rejection as fuel by yours truly. Fuel stands for faith upgraded to exponential levels. It gives you keys on how you can use rejection for your benefit, because all rejection is not bad for you, but it can actually be good for you.
That's right.
Yeah, so make sure that you are liking all of our page, Vaun-The Love Alchemist, on all social media platforms. Coach Michelamonè on all social media platforms, including TikTok. Y'all go over and look at our TikTok pages. All things relevant on all social media platforms. Make sure that you like and subscribe to our YouTube page as well. We're trying to get over 100 subscribers. Y'all playing with us. I need y'all to share. Share with at least 5 people. Everybody that was on here, if y'all share with at least 5 people and ask them to like this page on our YouTube, we'll clear before the night is over.
Yep, that's the fact. I'm trying to get this link real quick. I always have trouble sharing this thing.
Sharing the link.
Yeah, man. You know I'm kind of slowful with
it. Let's see if it can. I can't. Let's see
if I can. Let me see. I shared it with my
because I don't know why when you share it, does it not share to all of the pages?
It shares with I grabbed it from my phone. Here we go. I think I got it right here.
You got it on it popped up on all of them.
Hold on. Here we go. I got y'all. Pow. Let me put that on there.
All right.
I'm smart. I'm kind and important.
Yup.
Ta-da. Yeah, y'all put our YouTube page, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and share it with a friend or two. Y'all know we got the juice.
Yes.
Let them know what it is. Let them know what we do. That's it.
Yeah. All right, you want to close us out?
Yo, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you here with us, and for that, we are eternally thankful. Love y'all, fam.